Hi everyone, Pat here. Welcome to this week's Chart from Blank episode. This week we're going to be taking a look at TAO, an AI coin that recently had a pretty good buyback since our liquidation last week. With AI stocks performing quite well, we could see a move from some AI crypto coins. TAO also already showing some strength as of right now, looking at this 3-day. Let's get into the video. Before I start, this video is for informational purposes only and reflects my personal views. It is not financial advice, and please always consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. So yeah, TAO is a coin that when I stream or when I ask people if they want chart requests is something that always pops up. It's a coin that has been fairly stale since May of this year, essentially ranging for 162 days. And clearly, if we're going to talk about the higher time frame, it's basically been in this long-term range since November 23. So like 700 days, over 2 years now, or up to 2 years coming now, where TAO has essentially been moving sideways with obviously these sort of intra-monthly moves up and moves down over time. It was a coin that performed really well in October, November 23, and then also back in 2024, where we had that AI narrative running into the NVIDIA conference where everything was running crazy. But since then, TAO has been underperforming quite a lot compared to a lot of things. I failed to make new highs in December, but recently had a really nice bounce since our liquidation. Obviously, we've seen a lot of blowouts on charts as of right now, especially the likes of TAO. We got that big wick and bounce. So let's take a look at the higher time frame. We're going to start on the monthly, see what we can find. And obviously, like I said, we had that big higher time frame range. Right now, we're looking between that 677 down to, let's say, 270. Even say a bit more of a level down there towards 233. Kind of this whole area is a long-term support for TAO. Slight monthly level towards these highs probably marks that sort of range high area through the summer on the lower time frame that I saw. You could say it stems to sort of like here. This is a key level around that 440. Let's take a look at the weekly, moving down to the weekly time frame now. Yeah, we kind of got that sort of higher time frame monthly range between 677 down to 230. And then what we have is that lower time frame range, weekly range between this 272 to 440. See quite a nice sweep of these lows from TAO. Equal lows were swept. Do have a set of monthly equal lows down here. So equal lows are marked as an area of liquidity. A lot of the time you'll find once you do get a sweep of these sort of like equal lows and equal highs, it does act as quite a nice place for a reversal. You know, we could also mark these monthly and weekly highs up here towards this 495 region. So definitely I'd keep an eye on a position for TAO if we swept above that high. Equal highs, just as we've swept these equal lows here, if we get a good deviation, then that could make for a really nice short trade. Looking at taking, you know, a short with a stop above the high, targeting it back down towards range lows, especially the way altcoins are trading at the moment. Pretty much mean reverting from highs and mean reverting from lows. Just constantly looking at playing reversals at the moment on them rather than breakouts. Despite the sweep, we could say that this is offering quite a nice sort of like reclaim setup on the weekly. And seeing as we did sweep under here, right, on TAO, and we got that sweep, maybe a retest back towards this range low area could offer as a bounce. One thing I would be cautious of though is that this turns out to be some sort of trap, and especially if majors continue to sell off and break below their key levels, I could see this being a trap for TAO, and this bounce offering some sort of like place to get short, and from there going for a much deeper sweep down towards these equal lows. What you'll find, especially at the moment with the lack of momentum, you'll find that prices will break out essentially to trap before then making its way back down to target, you know, liquidity we have much lower, right? For example, these equal lows, we could see we've essentially got what I've just discussed there, a breakout to trap longs into the highs, and then it shoots out much lower after grabbing liquidity higher and trapping some people up here as well. So I'd be very much cautious of that scenario playing out. If you were to bid back towards this 320 area for TAO, then don't look for that big breakout. Look for a long into these highs, as I do think that is a good place to take a short into, and equally a good place to take a long into to TP, right? You know, you want to target liquidity to TP equally to look at mean reverting positions. So yeah, with that current setup in mind, right now on the daily, this is definitely something that I would be looking for. Option 1, a sweep above these highs. If TAO gets a sweep above 500, right, you've got that big round number as well, that big 500. I talk about those whole numbers a lot here on these series. But if TAO does sweep into this $500 region, I think that offers a really good place for a reversal back down towards that 320 region, and like I said, maybe even much lower towards that monthly equal lows down here, right? Remember these equal lows that I discussed here. That could be a really nice target for a much deeper pullback, depending how majors trade for the rest of Q4. So that would be option 1. Option 2 for me right now, looking at price action, would be a retest back towards this support area, right? A retest back down towards this support for your standard, like sort of a sweep, reclaim, and bounce. That would be my second option for a trade, looking for a move down towards 320. Right now, I think 320 remains a really important place for TAO to hold. Failing to hold here, then we will just shoot out likely sub 220 all the way to the lows. And I think this is a really nice trap setup to trap bulls. Any longs taken into 320, you want to swing back towards obviously the weekly range high and even the weekly liquidity above the weekly and monthly liquidity. Okay. To finish off this episode, we're going to be taking a look at my VWAP system and buying sell signals, seeing if anything is currently showing in terms of values for TAO, potentially signs of mean reversion or potential signs of a bottom. Taking a look at the TAO yearly, we can see we are trading back above / around the prior yearly value area low, towards that 347 area. We are just continuing to trade within that developing yearly value, right? That's developing yearly value area high and equally the developing yearly value area low. You know, as I said, it has been underperforming lately. I would say a lot of the move has come from the fact that AI stocks have been fairly strong lately. Maybe people are looking for a rotation into crypto AI coins. So there's that to keep in mind. You know, a good breakout above sort of like 500, 440, then you could consider the move towards 700. But right now, with the environment we are trading in, I think it's best to just look for mean reversions and look for this weekly range to continue playing out, right? And until we get that break above that developing yearly value area high around 450, I wouldn't expect price to trend aggressively. If anything, I would look for price to reverse, right? Above that developing yearly value area high at that 530 region, we do have the 2.5 to 3 standard deviation bands, which if we did get a sweep above these highs, like I said on TAO, I think that's a really good place to look for a mean reversion, specifically into that 530 area. I think 530 could offer a really good place to be a seller on TAO for a reversion. Taking a look at the quarterly, we did the quarterly and monthly obviously both developing at the same time right now. We can see on the daily did have some sell signals come in, and equally here on TAO we did get quite an aggressive trend into the developing monthly 2.5 to 3 standard deviation band, and also diverging on the Z score. So that was quite a nice trigger to get short on TAO. But right now, I think trying to get short prior to the sweep of the highs is a bit risky. I think this liquidity up here is asking to get taken. So overall, looking for that sort of sweep into 530 on TAO, sweep the liquidity into the developing yearly 2.5 to 3 standard deviations for a reversal back down to 350. In terms of a fresh sort of like intraday swing long, you could look for a swing long on a sweep into like 365. I do think if TAO swept into here and I got a good buy trigger, or strong buy trigger on my VWAP indicator, then I would consider an entry. You have the developing monthly VWAP and also the minus 2.5 to 3 standard deviations on the developing weekly VWAP. Also, you have the developing yearly VWAP and the developing and the prior yearly value area low, right? So overall, I think 360 down to 350 could actually offer a good place to go long. I'm personally going to keep an eye on this for a trigger, for a long trigger. I think TAO for a sweep into 360 down to 340 could be a good place to get long for a bounce and some continuation if we're going to see some continuation. Like I said, with a target of around that 530 region, where I'm going to be looking to get short. So overall, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's Charting from a Blank episode. Looking for a sweep sort of into 360 down to 340 on TAO with a good buy trigger on my VWAP system to get long. And we'll be posting in the Wealth Group Discord when I do take this position. You can join the Discord by following the link in the top of the description. Helping people rebuild at the moment due to events of last week. a lot of people getting caught out and working on helping people rebuild those portfolios. Equally, if you did enjoy this video, you can support my work by signing up to the link at Blofin. You can get futures and deposit bonus by using my code found at the top of the description. Thanks if you got this far in the video, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye bye.